term this summer and want to get rid of some stocks, please see either Ann or I. We are looking for someone to provide flowers for the altar for next Sunday. Blessing of the Animals will take place on Sunday, October 13th, 1 p.m. on the side lawn of the Parish House. We are not putting up posters around town or announcing in the paper or on Facebook because for the first year we'd like to keep it small. Find out what we're doing right or doing wrong. I have flyers out back that you can take home for yourself, give to family members or friends. You'll find more information on those flyers. And if you don't have a pet, you can certainly come and join us anyways and see what happens. We'll try to keep the dogs and cats separated. As Carol mentioned before, the second hymn today is in the large red book. It was so long that Evelyn did not print it, so you won't find it in the large bulletins. We have put books around. We don't have enough for every pew, but you should find one, so you need to share. Outside on the front of the church lawn, you will find bags of yellow daisies for the taking. Lori Keller and Linda Anderson divided up the flowers yesterday that were in the front. So please take some. Give some to your friends, family, even leave some on your neighbor's doorstep. You need to get rid of those. Other announcements?
Susan, Uncle Lily, Stay Lily. They're not supposed to be.
What did I say?
Daisies.
Good morning. As I mentioned earlier, in case somebody came in late, the third hymn is out of the Big Red Choir book. I have purchased, second hymn, I'm sorry, is out of the Big Red Choir book. And if anyone would like to purchase and donate to the church one of those in memory of or in honor of, they're only $8.25, so they're a real bargain. I could use some help after church today getting some things out of the back room and onto the tables ready to go down next Saturday. I also have a couple of things that are across the street in the Parish House that need to come over. And if anyone knows where the hot dog steamer is, I would be very happy to have that information. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a couple more details about the restaurant. Schedule. Schedule looks like this. There are copies, a copy of it out back on the counter. Many of you have already confirmed and let me know that you remember that you signed up and that you can agree to the times that I've got you on the schedule. If you're not sure that you've confirmed that with me, please take a look at the schedule. I'll give you a check mark next to the name of everybody that I know, and I've got a comfortable confirmation from, but I see a couple of you here that don't have check marks, so please just take a quick look at the schedule when you've got there a copy, and give me and Carol and the rest of us a little bit more peace of mind that we know that you know that you've signed up to work. Schedule's coming along really great. We do have a few holes. Surprisingly more in the kitchen than waitstaff, and that always surprises me because most people come to me and say, I'd love to help with the restaurant, just don't make me wait on people. But we've been able to fill most of those. We've got about 5 holes still left on waitstaff. We've got 7 openings in the kitchen, and 4 of those in the back kitchen, the back cook. And just the misnomer, it's not really cooking, it's serving food. And actually that's 3, not 4. Dishing out. And plating, that's the correct term. So if you're thinking about it still, if you know somebody that you might be able to volunteer, friends or family, we're almost there. And I do still have a couple of people I've got friends that we're working on. So I'm pretty comfortable we'll get there with 2 weeks to go. Pie pans and pie bakers. If you've told me you'd be willing to make some pies for the fair, and I know who you are, I did order some disposable pie pans. So if you'd like to use these, by all means, there's a box of them back there. It'll make it easier a little bit for the folks at the restaurant. We don't need to track down who your pie pans need to get back to, but feel free to use your own if that's what you prefer. There are two permanent, there's a glass and I think a metal one that Nancy has scrounged from somewhere that are also back on the counter. So if you want to use those, feel free to grab them. They're there for the taking. And let's see what else. I think that's it for major announcements. Thanks again, and start praying for us because it's a big endeavor. It's a great adventure, but it is 2 weeks out, and there's more than a couple of us that are really starting to think about how to make sure we pull this off successfully. So, thank you.
Okay, just a couple additional announcements. First of all, thank you for everyone who worked on the Blueberry Festival and the chicken barbecue. I'm sure you've been thanked already, but you cannot thank people enough for what wonderful, successful affairs that they turned out to be. And I thank you all for welcoming our friends from New Gloucester here and for journeying up there. I hope you enjoyed the joint services as much as I did. It's very helpful for me to work with a colleague like Linda Gard. She's become a valued colleague and friend over the years. We have lunch together regularly, and it's just fun to be with a beloved colleague up here and share the responsibility of pastoring. And know that whenever I'm away, you're in good hands with Linda Gard. She knows many of you, and she's just up the road, and likewise, vice versa. Another plea to use social media as well as you are able. If you ever take a fun photograph of you and anyone doing anything church-related or not, do send it to me or send it to the Gray First email, and we will post it on Facebook. So no embarrassing photos, please, but just good, fun photos are good. I understand our choir is going to begin to sing on the 6th of October, is that correct? And I think we're going to have Sunday school, certainly by then, maybe sooner. Still working on that. And we're always looking for lesson readers and children's sermonizers, etc. Look at all the wonderful sign-up sheets back there and sign up.
Are there any other announcements? Then let us prepare for worship. And let us have the call to worship. Lord, you have searched me out and known me.
You know my sitting down and my rising up. You discern my thoughts from afar.
You trace my journeys and my resting places.
And are acquainted with all my ways.
Indeed, there is not a word on my lips.
But you, O Lord, know it altogether.
You press upon behind me and before.
And lay your hand upon me.
Such knowledge is too wonderful for me.
It is so high that I cannot attain to it.
For you yourself created my inmost parts.
You knit me together in my mother's womb.
I will thank you because I am marvelously made.
Your works are wonderful, and I know it well.
My body was not hidden from you.
While I was being made in secret and woven in the depths of the earth.
Your eyes beheld my limbs, yet unfinished in the womb.
All of them were written in your book.
They were fashioned day by day.
When as yet there was none of them.
How deep I find your thoughts, O God.
How great is the sum of them. If I were to count them, they would be more in number than the sand. To count them all, unless I can, would need to be my labors.
Please join me for the prayer of invocation. Grant us, O Lord, to trust in you with all our hearts. For as we always resist the proud who confide in their own strength, so you never forsake those who make the boast of your mercy. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen. It appears that we have children here this morning. So if you all would come over this way and so usher them, will the ushers bring the children forward? Very good. Okay, so sit up next to Lucy. Okay, now we know these two. This is Jensen and Janetta. And young man, maybe you could introduce yourself.
My name's Alex.
Alex, everyone heard that?
William.
William, okay, all right, we've got a good collection here. There you go, okay. I'm going to tell you a little story, a true story that happened, and it relates to our Bible reading for this morning. It all relates to what Jeremiah has to say. A couple of years ago, I went to a museum in Washington, D.C. with several friends, including a woman who had a husband, but he was working. It was a holiday or a weekday. I was on vacation, and her husband was not, so she was there with her special needs child. And he was about 10, very, very bright little boy, but he was hypersensitive to all sorts of things. So she warned us ahead of time that there could be a meltdown at any time while we were in the museum. So we wandered through the museum, and it came to pass that this young fella backed into a display case. So he got smacked in the back by a pointed corner of a display case. And I wouldn't say he melted down so much as he exploded. He exploded down and went into absolute full tantrum mode. Unfortunately, his mom was not there. Mom was several rooms beyond, leaving myself and one other person, so a man and a woman, and a melting down child receiving the stares of people at the museum, at these utterly incompetent parents who could not deal with their child throwing a tantrum there. So all we could do was stand and just wait. And finally Mom came, and I wondered, now, what wonderfully compassionate, gentle, sympathetic technique is Mom going to use in this case? The child is on the floor, still quivering. Mom arrives, looks around, looks down at the child and says, "Get up." It worked. He got up. That's all it took. That relates to Mr. Jeremiah's many prophecies. Jeremiah prophesied that we were going to get knocked down. And he said, God is going to do the knocking down, and God is going to do the picking up. So there's a saying you might see, you might even see it on a t-shirt. There is no shame in being knocked down. There is only shame if you stay there. So when you get knocked down, you will get knocked down periodically. Get up. God will help you. Get up. Yes, your mom and dad will be there to help you. Get up. Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, get up. Here. Maybe for a moment of silent prayer, and then I'll pray on behalf of all. Almighty God, we thank you for the gift of life, for your breath that moves within us when you moved upon the waters. Your breath has moved within us with every breath we take, moved our hearts to come to this sacred place. We give you thanks for our every blessing. Thank you for the gifts of this late summer morning, for the harvest that has happened and the harvest that is to come. Thank you for the opportunity to be outside and enjoy your creation. We thank you for drawing us closer to you this summer, and thank you in advance for the gifts to come. As we enjoy your creation, create in us pure hearts and a hunger and longing for you, and the courage to share the good news of your presence to our families, friends, and neighbors. Bless our children, those who are with us today and those who are away. Bless their parents and teachers as they start school. Help them all to come to the sure knowledge of your love. We pray for this town of Gray, this county of Cumberland, this state of Maine, these United States of America, and especially for those near and dear to us, those whom we have mentioned, and those who are in our minds but we have not mentioned. We pray for those who are sick in mind or body, and those who are on the prayer wheel of our church. We pray for our sister congregations in Gray, our sister congregations in the United Church of Christ, especially for the New Gloucester Church, and for Deborah, our conference minister, and especially for all congregations around the world who endure persecution for the gospel's sake. In this golden silence, our hearts grow warm. In this company, we feel your presence, and we see you, Lord, in our friends and neighbors. And so, we are bold to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
well, but something that need be. Wanted to dedicate this to the prayer wheel. And it looks like both our members this morning are going to dovetail in nicely with the passages. I don't think either one of us looked up the lectionary, and just it was a coincidence. Imagine that. Somebody's praying, I can feel it. Somebody's praying over me. Mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Somebody's praying for me.
Angels are watching, I can feel it. Angels are watching over me. Many miles ahead till I get home, till I'm safely kept before your throne. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Angels are watching over me.
Well, I've walked the barren wilderness where my pillow was a stone, and I've been through the darkest caverns where no light has ever shone. Still I went on, 'cause there was someone who was down on their knees. Lord, I thank you for those people praying all this time for me. Somebody's praying, I can feel it. Somebody's praying for me. Mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Somebody's praying for me. Somebody's praying for me.
Jeremiah 18, 1 through 11. The word came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Come down, go to the potter's house, and there I will let you hear my words. So I went down to the potter's house, and there he was working at his wheel. The vessel he was making of clay was spoiled in the potter's hand, and he reworked it into another vessel as seemed good to him. Then the word of the Lord came to me. Can I not do with you, O house of Israel, just as this potter has done, says the Lord. Just like the clay in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, O house of Israel. At one moment I may declare concerning a nation or a kingdom that I will pluck up and break down and destroy it. But if that nation concerning which I have spoken turns from its evil, I will change my mind about the disaster that I have intended to bring on it. And at another moment I may declare concerning a nation or kingdom that I will build and plant it. But if it does evil in my sight, not listening to my voice, then I will change my mind about the good that I had intended to do to it. Now therefore say to the people of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, thus say the Lord, look, I am a potter shaping evil against you and devising a plan against you. Turn now, all of you, from your evil way and amend your ways and your doings. And in the New Testament is Luke 14, verses 25 to 33. Now large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and said to them, whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down and estimate the cost to see whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to ridicule him, saying, this fellow began to build and was not able to finish. Or, what king going out to wage war against another king will not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to oppose the one who comes against him with 20,000? If he cannot, then, while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. So therefore, none of you can become my disciple if you do not give up all your possessions, and thus end the Bible.
Yes, we're not seeing things. Marie Town is the reader in the bulletin, but obviously it was in part of God's plan from the beginning that Joyce Burrow would be our reader for this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Joyce. Can I not do with you, O house of Israel, just as this potter has done, says the Lord. Just like the clay in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, O house of Israel. It's a wonderful image, the image that we are a piece of clay and God is molding us through all the events of our life into something good and useful and beautiful. If you've read Jungian psychology, It's a symbol of transformation. A pot which starts off as just a bunch of mud, through some skill and through being baked at tremendous heat, turns into something that is useful for decades, if not centuries. So we are in God's hands. Whether the we is the U.S. of A., the state of Maine, the town of Gray, or the First Congregational Church. God is working with us all the time, ordaining, maintaining, as the old hymn goes, tearing down, building up, molding us this way and that. I think I said a couple of weeks ago that every cell in our body is replaced every 7 years. Some quite frequently, and some only once, but every cell in the whole body is completely replaced every 7 years. Thus, if you are sitting here this morning in some old, and I hope comfortable, and rather beloved clothes, you are here in the same clothes as 7 years ago, but in a different body. This is quite a miracle, is it not? It is indeed a miracle that we are alive and we are here. Albert Einstein was a beloved figure in his time, not just because he was a brilliant scientist, but because he said some very wise things in addition to very clever things. And one of my favorite quotes from Einstein, he said, either nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. I prefer to go with the latter. It sounds like a lot more fun. And hey, if Einstein can believe something like that, maybe we can too. At any rate, really, it is a miracle that we are still alive and can remember what happened long ago and still be recognized as the same person after all this creative destruction inside our own bodies. Every single cell has been torn down, destroyed, and replaced. So what is God doing with us this morning and the many mornings ahead in this time and place? In the year 2019, 2020, 2021, and so on, in this town of Gray and the state of Maine. What do we wish to keep doing, and what do we wish to change? What is the old that we wish to hold on to? What is the old that we will happily let go of? And what is the new that we wish to embrace? What is the divine potter making with all of the lumps of clay gathered here this morning? I have not said a lot about what I think our mission should be from the pulpit here. I firmly believe that our time on Sunday morning is sacred time, and that most of what I say on Sunday morning should be in the form of prayer and the elucidation of the Scriptures. There is a timeless message in the Scriptures. I simply try to enunciate it, make it clear, and with some luck, make it inspiring. I don't try to be relevant. I believe that the Scriptures are relevant, and trying to make them more so is just plain tiresome. And also, I think that our mission is actually pretty clear. We are here to bring the good news of the gospel to our friends and neighbors in the town of Gray, etc., and surrounding towns. We are rather fond of our location here in the center of the town of Gray, even though there are some problems with this particular location. Shall we say that parking is not ideal? There is a lot of traffic that whizzes by, even on a Sunday. If we decided that we could pursue our mission in the town of Gray more effectively from somewhere else, we could easily sell our buildings here and rent, buy, or build a church in a shopping center somewhere around here where there is plenty of parking. Churches occasionally do things like this. But if we did, we would be a very different church, and I don't think anyone is even seriously thinking about this. This particular building is historic and is beloved. It has been the site of worship for over 100 years, and not to mention hundreds, if not thousands, of church suppers, funerals, weddings, children's pageants, etc. So here we are in the center of Gray with all of its problems and possibilities. We are ministering to, serving the people of our town, ministering in and to this geographical location. We are in the heart of town, metaphorically, and geographically. We're in the middle of it, ministering to the town itself. This is what First Congregational churches have done since the beginning and will continue to do. So we have some problems, challenges, let's call them. It's a challenge that there is so much traffic in this town, yet so little parking. So much vehicular traffic, yet so little foot traffic. Another problem is that a lot of people prefer what I call big box churches in shopping centers or places where there is parking. Upon walking into church, they find everything they need there, from espresso bars to bookstores to playing fields. I'm not making this up, playing fields. A whole village under one roof. Another problem is that many people are just not interested in attending church at all. They get married at a resort, they get buried by the funeral home, and they don't bother with baptism. Yet there will still be a need and demand for the local church, for a church right here in the middle of town. Eventually, it may be a long eventually, the traffic challenges will get solved. Believe it, have faith. The ability of people, adults and children, to get from the town hall and playing fields over to here and to the library beyond, that somehow will get facilitated. It's going to happen. There will be new businesses, stores, offices, maybe a couple of restaurants. The new town of Gray will have a very different feel to it, but it already does. This already is a very different town from the one any of us grew up in. It will be different. We may even like it better. There will be people who will prefer to come to church in the heart of their village in real time, and this church in particular. We simply must have the confidence that God is the potter and we are the clay. Already, God is molding us into something new. The key in this process, as always, is having faith, confidence that God is with us, that God is here, God is at work, here. A noted author once wrote about the house that he and his wife bought when they were young. It was not much of a house. In fact, it was a bit of a wreck. But, he wrote, "We fell in love with our house. No rise in our income has ever tempted us to look elsewhere for another house, still less to build a more commodious or fashionable one. In no sense was this the house of our dreams. But over our lifetime, it has slowly turned into something better, the house of our realities. In all its year-by-year changes, under the batterings of age and the bludgeonings of chance, this dear house has enfolded and remodeled our family character, exposing our limitations as well as our virtues. So it has been with this church. God is here. God is at work. Here. Amen. Feel free to share whatever joyous things are going on.
Yes, 2 weeks ago I was here and asked for prayers for my Aunt Doris. I heard from the family the following Monday that it was apparently a reaction to the meds that she had gone into a coma. Because Sunday afternoon when my cousin went to see her, she was alive, alert, and knew him. So they have talked with hospice and she's being transferred back to rehab. She graduated. Yeah, she was able to demonstrate to the hospice coordinator that she could get out of bed. She could walk up and down the hall, up and down the stairs, and back into bed. It exhausted her, but after 4 weeks of being flat on her back, that's not surprising. So she's in rehab, you folks.
Fabulous.
I talked with my mother yesterday, and it's the best she sounded in years. They had put 2 stents in her heart, and that seemed to do the trick. So she's doing really, really well. And on tomorrow, our youngest grandchild, Sage, is turning 2.
August in our home has been very busy. But first I'll start with my niece Heather. She, thank you for the prayers a couple of weeks ago. She will be having some surgery, but is able to be home and doing very well. So the surgery is upcoming, not needed as an emergency, so that is a good thing. The other thing is I wanted to share with you that I made it through PL with my granddaughter. It was really fabulous. It was 5 little ladies and 5 old ladies sharing a cabin with 1 bathroom. Yes, my mattress was about 2 inches thick. It was great, but I was on the bottom bunk. That was a good thing. It really was a beautiful thing. I hope if anybody has an opportunity to go to pilgrimage, there are many camping opportunities for. There's one called Lulu, which is Lighten Up, Loosen Up, which is a wonderful camp for women. I believe it's mostly all women. There's Women in the Wild. There's just lots of fun camps. There's family camps, so you could go with your whole family. Look it up and check it out. It was beautiful. The Vespers. Oh, geez. It was just beautiful. Let's just say that. The other joy was we had a most wonderful vacation at Prince Edward Island with our whole family. Another absolutely beautiful place that God has created that if you have an opportunity, take it and go. It's really just the most beautiful farmland and always a breeze, and people are kind and gentlemen hold the doors. Maybe I just got lucky, but it just seemed that way to me. It really was beautiful. Thank you.
On Friday, Alice Lewis, Olive's daughter, and I were chatting on the phone, and she said, Fran, she said, I am going in today, and I am going to bring my adopted daughter, Sherry, home from the hospital. She's been there over 55 days. So she is home, and prayers also for now for Sherry at home and Alice taking care of her, and for all of being grandmother here.
I'm going to a wedding on Friday. Our youngest son is getting married Friday the 13th.
There is an Irish proverb that says a good laugh and a long sleep are 2 of the best cures for anything. So I hope you save your long sleep for this afternoon, but I hope this will make you laugh. After a long illness, a woman died and arrived at the gates of heaven. While she was waiting for St. Peter to greet her, she peeked through the gates. She saw a beautiful banquet table. Sitting around were her parents and all the other people she had loved and who had died before her. They saw her and they began calling greetings to her. Hello, how are you? We've been waiting for you. Good to see you. When St. Peter came by, the woman said to him, This is such a wonderful place. How do I get in? You have to spell a word, St. Peter told her. Which word? The woman said. Love. The woman correctly spelled love, and St. Peter welcomed her into the heaven. About 2 years later, St. Peter came to the woman and asked her to watch the gates of heaven for him that day. While the woman was guarding the gates of heaven, her husband arrived. I'm surprised to see you, the woman said. How have you been? Oh, I've been doing pretty well since she died, her husband told her. I married the beautiful young nurse that took care of you while you were ill. And then I won the lottery. I sold the little house you and I lived in and bought a big mansion. My wife and I travel all over the world. We were on vacation, and I went water skiing today. I fell, the ski hit my head, and here I am. How do I get in? You have to spell a word, the woman told him. Which word, her husband asked. Czechoslovakia.
In response to the preaching of God's Word, sharing of Furious Joyce, and amidst wonderful laughter, may the deacons please come forward.
What
trials of this life, the rain, the storms, the hardest night, are your mercies in disguise.
Accept, O Lord, these gifts of our offering. We dedicate these gifts to your work, to your love, to your spirit, to your presence in this church, in this town, and around the world. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Go forth now in peace to love and serve the Lord. Amen.